All right, I think it's live streaming. I always start these by saying I don't know at what point YouTube starts streaming. I click start and then there's a delay. So this is just me kind of killing time because of that delay. And then I've got to tweet out a link and stuff. So the point of this live stream, if you're not familiar, is I've had way too many questions for me to address. I've had people commenting, not understanding what's going on the video I made, trying to talk about it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about it, and right now I'm just going to tweet out the link so that people know that I'm live. And I believe it is youtube.com/timcast/live. I believe that's it. And yes, so feel free to hop into the chat. I've had way too many questions testing out a ton of. I've had people got like a really commenting, not understanding what's going on the video I made, trying to talk about it. So I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about it, and right now, and I've got Streamlabs set up so that chat's supposed to be live. And chat is appearing YouTube on the screen. So now all of the horrible racist things that everyone say will appear on the screen. There's nothing I can do about it. But I'm gonna tweet this out real quick. And then we'll start chatting. I think I'm good. Okay. All right, so let's see. I got here some people in the chat. Audio is messed up. Echo. All right, is there echo now? Audio is a mess. People just immediately start with the racial slurs. Let me know if audio is fixed. I just muted everything, so I think we're good. How's it going, everybody? This is part of my new setup. I've opened up the entire space to my left. Before, if you watch my videos, you'd see like the table was there. It's all moved, cleared everything up because we're going to try and figure out how to do more live stuff. Emily will be making her triumphant return to working with me on videos. She, presumably, as of now, the plan is she'll be coming out to New York, and we're going to start ramping things up with Subverse and just expand. So the podcast has been in the works forever. Everybody and their grandmother has a podcast, but we're going to do one that's going to generally talk about topical news issues with a focus on calling out fake news. So it's mostly kind of like watchdogging mainstream media, because there's been so many stories that have been so bad recently that I was like, why don't we just do something where we use, calling out bad reporting or questionable reporting as a launching point to talk about key news issues. So that seems likely. We'll see what happens. So the point of this video is, look, you guys have all your chats right there on the screen. Aren't you guys proud? And if you give through Super Chat, your Super Chat will appear all big, I think. I've never used Streamlabs before. My brother was just helping me set it up, so Streamlabs is set up. Someone said Tim Pool is Reactor's brother. That's 100% true. That was a joke. Somebody, Mumkey Jones, if you're not familiar, he's a YouTuber and personality, had a fan meetup, and my brother, who is Reactor, was also there, meet and greeting. And I went because, me and my brother went to the city. And that was the joke I made. Someone was like, wow, I can't believe Tim Pool went to the Mumkey meetup. And I was like, no, I was just going there to meet Reactor. And haha, it's funny because he's my brother. John Duncan, Tim Pool, nothing you say matters. You don't have a high school diploma. That's 100% true. I don't have a high school diploma. But I'll tell you what I do have. These are really cool. I'll show you these in a second. But you know what I do have? I have this fancy YouTube award. Look at me, like I matter to somebody somewhere for some reason. Isn't that great? All right, we got a super chat. You do you, boo-boo. Dab on them haters. Yep. And someone said test. You guys let me know if this thing is working, because I set it up on Streamlabs, and hey, it's working. It's positioned poorly, I think. No, I think it works. You do you, boo-boo. Oh, okay, it's just like delayed a little bit. I think someone asked if I don't have a GED. No GED, none of that. You don't need it. It's a big scam. And now I'm going to prove it by showing you my 2015 LA Coliseum coin. Can you see that? Man, this camera is amazing. I'm so glad that I got this set up. I had to get like an HDMI capture card for this, but isn't it way better than all the streams I've done before? This is going to be killer. We got this big space set up. I'm so excited for the new year. It's going to be awesome. And I think maybe tomorrow I might be doing something with Bunty King tomorrow, like an interview. I think that's the plan. We'll see what happens. I don't want to commit to like what Bunty's got doing. But this was this coin is two of them actually, and I'll show you the other one. This is because we were, it's 2014. We were guests. Is that going to focus? There you go. Cassandra Fairbanks put on an event called Dancing Man, where she held a dance party for this guy who was fat shamed. And they had a big party in LA, and then the LA Coliseum invited her out to have a buffet on the field. And I got to kick I think it was like a 30-yard field goal. I don't know. I'm not a football person, but I kicked a field goal from like a decent distance. We all did. We didn't do it first try, but it was a whole lot of fun. And then we got to like run the length of the field, and they gave us these special coins. Isn't that cool? And I'm only showing them because they're on top. Can you see? Where's my arm? There you go. They're on top of my YouTube award, so I had to move them. But now, without further ado, let's talk about Kilroy and this NDA stuff, because I tweeted about it simply because people were expecting to see me there. Obviously, you can look at the YouTube comments on the video I made today, and it's like every time I talk about it, there's misconceptions, misunderstandings. So I decided, all right, well, I got this set up. I need to test it. What better way to test it right now and just do an event and try and clarify things for people. So if you have questions about what happened with the NDA, feel free to ask. So John Campbell says, Tim, you completely misunderstood the agreement. It did not restrict your ability to speak at other events. That's actually wrong, John Chappell. Let me pull up the agreement right here. I don't know to what extent we're going to be able to actually see it because it's really small, but maybe yeah, I don't know. All right, that's too small. We'll screw it. I'll read it. Let me move everything back over. No, I certainly did not misunderstand the agreement because I have multiple agreements with multiple companies all the time. I'm speaking at B&H in New York on Thursday. Going to be talking about my career in mobile journalism. I do this all the time. I have never signed an NDA for any of these events. And the misconceptions that people have about what this means and what it does, it's extremely frustrating to me. So, you know what? I try to avoid drama, and I try not to be confrontational. But I will also add that I am a total rogue, and I've always been my whole life. I do my thing. I don't consider myself a part of any of these communities. I am a person. We're all people, and that's what I consider first and foremost. I'm not going to shield anybody based on their political alignment, right? The people who are involved with Kilroy don't deserve any special protections based on what they're doing. And I believe that for the most part, people have a right to know what's going on. And this is part of why I don't consider myself to be part of a group. When I was at, say, Occupy Wall Street, I'm absolutely going to highlight when they do things wrong, right? When the occupiers were draining air out of police tires, I filmed it. It's happening in public. Public has a right to know. The same can be said about people on the right. I was in Berkeley, and some guy who was hanging out with the Proud Boys tried to start a fight. They got mad at me that I was filming, and I'm like, what do you expect from me? I'm here interviewing people, and I'm filming. I'm not going to give anyone any special protections. And the same can go for Kilroy. I am not an employee of Kilroy. This is a speaking engagement. I was asked to attend. It was very, very light. I think Dave Cullen's a really awesome dude. No beef. He hit me up and asked me to be involved. I reached out to some of my friends and asked them if they're like, hey, this thing's happening. It'd be really cool if we got some more people to come and talk about these issues in media. And then it turns out there's other people involved that I don't know. I don't know who Kilroy Event LLC is. I don't know who's running it. I don't know who Based Mama is. I don't know who any of these people are. I owe them nothing. And I as much as I try to be reasonable, there's just like the more I see people jumping on the incorrect defense of what this agreement was, the more frustrating it is because, listen, this agreement, I feel, was exploiting people who don't understand what they're doing. And I don't think it's surprising that if you look at a lot of the speakers, people who have less than, say, 1,000 followers or a few thousand YouTube subscribers, I am not surprised that they're really excited to attend the event and they don't care to sign something like this. That's fine. They're incorrect in their defense. This NDA in no way protects people's identities the way they describe it. It's a poor argument, and they gave me an appeal to emotion instead of an actual statement addressing the issues of why they would send a non-compete and a non-disclosure agreement to me in the first place. It doesn't quite make sense. Further, I'm going to add that a lot of people, look, I was once handed like a 100-page contract for a talent agency, and I had to hire a lawyer, and we went through it like with a fine-tooth comb, and then I threw it in the trash because it's ridiculous, right? I have to deal with this stuff all the time. I currently have 4 TV show contracts through United Talent and a book contract. I do this stuff all the time. This is not new to me. And when a speaking event that isn't paying me or isn't flying me out or covering any cost or anything, and they say, come to a hotel and speak to people, they're sure that's what I do. I was in Bergen, Norway, and they flew me out, showed up to their event, and I spoke. That's it. No contracts, no agreements. Simply, they contacted me and said, what's your name, your birthday, so that we can buy you a plane ticket. And that was it. Never had to do anything like this. And so it's alarming to me that you've got people signing non-compete agreements for 16 months. See, this is an issue. If someone else puts on an event in Phoenix, I understand the non-compete is specific to Phoenix, and it's not as bad as I think a lot of people think it is, but it still is strange that they would ask for that. If the University of Phoenix asks any of the attendees to come and speak a month before Kilroy or a month after, well, they signed an agreement that they wouldn't do that. There's another question as to whether or not anyone involved in Kilroy Event LLC would actually enforce these things, but that's not what's important. I can tell you what it's like to be on the ass end of a bad deal and what that can do to you, and it is not a good thing. You never know. All right, we got a super chat here. I want to make sure I hit these super chats. Reginald McIntosh says, I can't stay, but I completely understand your position. Not going to lie. I was looking forward to seeing your panel. Godspeed, Mr. Poole. Thank you for the super chat. I'll make sure I didn't miss any other. Nerd Factor says, high school dropout here can't confirm success. In a position after 3 years, most work tend to get because of the experience on education. You should become a Magogonite. See you at Kilroy, ? Or you're not going now? I am not going now. There's another thing that I need to bring up as it pertains to contracts. Okay, I've got some contracts that specifically state I can't have contracts with other people in a similar fashion, right? So for my TV show pitches, right, how this works is I put together several TV show concepts based around my work, and the idea was that supplemental to the work I'm doing online, we could produce a weekly show where we travel. And so this would allow travel news, YouTube vlogging with a more mainstream show so we can kind of get everywhere. These deals are actually relatively old. I haven't been focusing on them for the past year or so. But these agreements state, like, you can't have a similar agreement with a similar concept, a concept that would in any way be like a replication of the show it's a bunch of legal terms, but essentially, if I pitch a show where it's like Tim Pool travels around investigating dogs, I can't have a show called Tim Pool travels around talking about cats, right? So there's a similarity here. There's legal definitions of words and there's legal interpretations of contracts. Some contracts state that they'll say in the contract, by signing this contract, you acknowledge and agree that you do not have any existing contracts in any territory of X, Y, and Z, right? And these are not necessarily non-competes. These are to make sure that the company you are signing with isn't going to violate someone else's non-compete. If I sign a 16-month non-compete with Phoenix, it still might infringe on a different deal I have, and then I have to have like a contract rewrite for whatever company I'm working with. I say, listen, I do have a non-compete for 16 months because I appeared at a hotel for 2 days. That is just not okay, and it's an undue burden. I don't know if a lot of the people who are attending Kilroy do speaking events or have contracts or deal with this, but I think a lot of the people who are of the mentality that it's totally fine are people who don't frequently have to deal with this kind of issue. Let me just say here's what happened. I didn't want to make any drama out of this. I got an email from Based Mama saying, Here's the contract. I just simply responded, I can't sign this. I was told, what can't you sign about it? And I incorrectly said the 3-year non-compete. I was corrected, and I said the 16-month non-compete and the 3-year NDA. I was told that it's for people's safety, which is an appeal to emotion, which doesn't address the concerns of why I can't talk about operations, guests, or finances pertaining to the event. Keep in mind, operations, guests, and finance, these are interpretable, right? So this could mean that somebody who's attending the event wants to speak about some certain topic, and everyone knows about it, but I am restricted from speaking about it. If someone comes and is a guest of the event and they say, I am going to speak tomorrow about mathematics, and they say this to everyone, but I'm the only one who signed an agreement, I can't say that for 3 years. Look, I understand the difference between enforcing something and agreeing to something, but I think there's a significant issue with whatever it is they're trying to do, where they're asking for non-competes. It is further. I see a lot of people saying, "What? You're just agreeing you're not going to do another Kilroy event in the same year, or whatever." Oh, sure, but why can't I? Why can't I attend a different free speech rally a day before Kilroy? Why does Kilroy want me to agree to not speak about certain things at the event, nor go to any other competitive event? Further, competitive business is entirely interpretable. And if they're producing media at Kilroy, which they are, they said they're going to be hiring people to produce content. Is me producing content at the event competition? Absolutely. And the NDA would also stop me from producing any videos at the event. Additionally, within 100 miles of Phoenix for a year, arguably any interview in Phoenix or any YouTube video pertaining to the guests at the event for 3 years could be arguably competition. It's just a ridiculously broad contract that should not be given to speakers. There's a question of trust, right? I have spoken at events, Hackers on Planet Earth, where I literally walked in, guy went up on stage and said, "Hey everybody, Tim Pool and Jeff Shively are gonna go speak on being raided by the police." And we had hackers in there who have like active warrants and things like that. No NDA. Right, I've been up I've been on the rooftop of the Rio during DEF CON with high-profile hackers black hats, gray hats, and white hats, people who have significant threats on their lives. I've spoken at events with Ai Weiwei, okay, Chinese activist, never had to sign anything like this. All right, let's pop over to the super chat because I can go on a tangent nonstop. But Alexander Balog says, "Merry Christmas, Tim," and I'll try and get some questions in because otherwise I'm just. Woo. Tim would moderate the moderators retroactively. Kilroy free speech is restricting speech. So you don't have to justify your position. The NDA is absurd on its face, should be rejected. So I want to talk about a couple things. My God, everybody on Twitter, obviously not everybody, but there's so many people saying, trust us, this is totally standard. No, it's not. Then you can see, I think, people are mischaracterizing what the contract is, clearly because I think they don't have experience in this kind of in this field of work. There was a period where I was sending back like a contract every week for book stuff. In order to even try and put a book together, there's like 3 contracts, and so I deal with this stuff all the time. I have lawyers proofread things. It's expensive and it's annoying, and so when I see a contract that's broad and vague, I'm like, oh, I can't sign that. Not only can I not sign it because it's against, I mean, it's a bad agreement. You shouldn't sign it. Nobody should. And I'm kind of upset people did sign it, but it might actually infringe on contracts I already have. In which case, I can't sign that. That agreement's too vague unless, I go and talk to my lawyer and go over existing contracts. It's ridiculous. Yeah. All right. Someone. The reason for the NDA stated by Base Mama was that there are people who are targeted by jihadis, who are ex-Muslims and want to be protected. Yes, this is the official statement. So let me ask this question. How does a 3-year non-disclosure agreement protect them in any way? It doesn't. Plain and simple. Why would I be presented with any private information about individuals that are speaking at this event or attending? I shouldn't be. That's not appropriate, period. Someone in the super chat says, the overlay chat is wildly distracting, nearly all trolls saying lots of terrible things. Oh yeah, for sure they are. I mean, that's the point of chat. That's YouTube. I mean, that's the, I guess, the incentive of engaging in chat, and it's free speech. I mean, the chat exists next to the video anyway. Someone says, when will we see Timcast merch? I've had a simple merch store on my website for a long time, timcast.com, with like t-shirts. It's like pretty crappy, and unfortunately the shop I'm using wasn't selling beanies, so. Someone asks, where is the money coming from to fund this conference? It's coming from, I'm going to stop right there. It's an important statement. Donors. People donated to the conference. And look, I think people have a great time, but personally, I think there's a lot of issues with it. Somebody said, Tim Pool is not a hacker. That's absolutely not true. I've been a hacker all my life, and I take personal offense to that. I built my first computer when I was 8. I've been programming. Used to program video games when I was like 9 or 10. I was semi-proficient as a little kid with ActionScript. Making Flash websites and games. I used a program called Multimedia Fusion. I used to make platformers, and then I started using RPG Maker, which was way simpler and a lot easier. But I used to make websites for like people in my neighborhood and stuff. And then I moved on to social engineering, which is like whenever you hear about something being hacked, it's social engineering. So you can tell what triggers me when someone says something like that. Some guy, yes, I agree. Free speech is very important. It is. Let's see. I'm trying to make sure I get some of these questions. Have you thought about getting a few people to start archiving the videos on BitTorrent network for permanent archival? I have signed up for BitChute, and my videos automatically archive on BitChute. So that's pretty cool. And I have my second channel. So if you're not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. And then I also have a second channel, which I don't think that it's in the description, but it's like my second channel is on the description for this page. So, you know, I feel like I have to move the, what do we have? Second browser. I'm going to move over the, when people make super chats, it like overlaps with the text and doesn't seem to work properly. Also, it just doesn't seem to be working properly in general. I don't know, whatever, it's fine. John Duncan said, F you, Tim, you've never... Oh, it's gone. Tim Pool is not a hacker. He's a liar. Making websites is not hacking. John Duncan, who are you? Have no idea what you're talking about. Computer hacking doesn't just mean computer hacking. Hacking means making something do something it wasn't intended to do. So... at the various hacker spaces to which I have been a member and the projects I've worked on, I built a remote control can of green tea. If you Google search like CanBot, C-A-N-B-O-T, you can see the robot that I built using like little electric motors and a remote control from a race car. I made a remote control can of green tea that it's got a weight on the front that spins, causing it to vibrate. The weight shifts the can forward, allowing it to glide. When the vibration happens, the can kind of shakes back and forth, but the weight drives it forward, and then the weight spins actually. So when I release some of the force on the electrical motor, it will cause the can to spin in circles. So take that. Other than that, I don't know what you guys are talking about. Okay, so Ardana asks, when you refused to sign, what was their reply? I agree, important to refuse. I don't want to like publish exactly what the emails were or anything like that because we'll maintain some semblance of privacy. But they essentially said, I absolutely refuse to negotiate on the NDA. And then they did everyone has signed this before you. And then said, I will absolutely not compromise on people's safety. And I'm just like, you know what, man? You've got people associated with this event right now saying that like I'm a shady journalist that wouldn't give assurances I wasn't going to dox people and that their safety is paramount and stuff. And I'm like, this is just a regressive tactic. It doesn't address the issue of why they're sending a non-compete. When I asked numerous times about the non-compete, people just say, oh, but they would negotiate away from that, right? They were going to agree to get rid of that, right? And I'm like, that's not answering the question. Something else is going on here. I don't know who these people are, and I don't trust it. Okay, and I will also add at this point, I was actually on a call with them earlier today. And I want to try and strike a balance between certain people's privacies who were on that call and some of the things they said. But I'll just say at this point, the general idea is that this is an employment agreement being sent out to people that is strange. It's some kind of employment agreement, which doesn't make sense for guest speakers showing up to a private event. And it would prevent people from making YouTube videos about the event and putting it on their own YouTube channels. That's part of the discussion, okay? So I don't want to... I feel like the public has a right to know. I don't want to be disruptive, essentially. Like, I don't want to... it's never my intention to rain on someone's parade. But I will say it is also... You're never going to pull a fast one, right? If you have me involved, if I'm at your event... and you do something that I think the public needs to know about and disagree with, guess what? They're going to find out about it. It's like literally what I do, right? And there's a lot of people who don't like that, particularly the people over at Occupy Wall Street were not happy that I was filming activists deflating police tires. Well, too bad, man. I'm not here for you. I'm not here for them. I'm here to talk about what the people have a right to understand and to know. And if people are donating to this event, it's important that people understand what's going on. If there are speakers who are not being informed about this, I think they have a right to understand that under this agreement, they're not allowed to produce content from the event. That this would, that not just the agreement, but even an appearance contract or whatever, would restrict an individual from filming a YouTube video at the conference and uploading to their own channels. In fact, the part of the agreement, the non-compete, says I won't solicit any customer of Kilroy for a third party or whatever. Well, a third party could be a business entity or a YouTube channel, for instance, a sole proprietorship, in which case that contract says I can't walk up to an attendee and say, can I interview you for my YouTube channel? Because that is a violation of the non-compete and the non-disclosure the non-disclosure agreement. Because guests of the event doesn't just include speakers, it includes attendees. In which case, I can't talk about people who showed up there, I can't film videos there, and at the end of the contract, I acknowledge that everything they're asking of me in no way infringes on my livelihood, which it absolutely does. And there are people who signed this, and I'm upset that they did. Because, look, the goal of a contract, in almost any case, is to protect the company. It's not about protecting individual safety. It's about none of that. And it doesn't mean the company is going to enforce any of these things. The people involved with Kilroy Event LLC are likely not going to go after anybody. That would just be terrible PR and it would be bad for their business. But it gives them the discretion to choose, in which case, of course they don't care if someone like Bunty King is making videos from the event that promotes it. But what if he goes and he films someone say something that makes the event look really, really bad, or could potentially expose them to civil or criminal liability, in which case now they might want to say, hey, you're violating the agreement. And that's something I guarantee you do not want to be on the ass end of. It is never fun. So let's pop back over to the super chat, or to the chat, and got some racial slurs. I mean, if there's racial slurs, I think YouTube's supposed to deal with that. This is why I'm glad California doesn't recognize non-disclosure agreements. I'm now reading this in Tim Pool's voice. Also, this Kilroy drama is saddening. Keep doing good work. Tim, you need like 10 mods. Toss me a wrench so I can slay some trolls. Can't promise anyone will be left, though. This whole chat is troll infested. Well, yeah, but every chat everywhere is troll infested. Like, what are you going to do about it, I guess? I mean, I think I might have the ability to block certain words. Manage moderators. I don't know, man. I've never been about restricting speech. Someone asks, will stoned Tim Pool be at Kilroy in my place? Yes. No, I have no idea. Obviously not. Can't wait for the Internet Historian video on Kilroy. Let me say something else. DEF CON, as I understand it, it essentially formed because a bunch of hackers said, hey guys, why don't we all get together in Vegas and like do this thing? And obviously it's more complicated than that, but typically a good conference, a good event starts when there are a bunch of people in a community who say, we all live in different places and we want to gather once per year so that we can knock back a few beers, right? Last year at VidCon, the skeptic community, whatever you want to call it, showed up. And they took photos with, the Keck flag and everything, and Sargon and Rucka and Chris Reagan. Everybody's all smiling. Bunty King getting pictures with fans and things like that. And that's legit. VidCon has excluded so many people who are legitimate creators with, I wouldn't even say controversial opinions. It's just a disagreement with the mainstream narrative that VidCon likes to push. VidCon's very progressive. I was told by the executives that they weren't having news panels, but they were. And then instead of putting journalists on their panel, what do? They put progressive commentators on these panels for news. So it's very, very obvious what VidCon is. When the skeptic community, whatever you want to call it, stood in front of VidCon and did their event, that was the start of an organic moment. And I think somebody noticed a hole in the marketplace. And so they decided that they could put on an actual event and charge money and raise money and hold an event. But to me, it's inorganic. A conference starts because there are people who legitimately want to come together and have a conversation about these issues. Los Angeles seems like the best place for that. Following VidCon, so right now there's some preliminary stages of, I'm talking with some people about renting out a venue, getting like an open bar, and just opening up the doors and saying, this is for the people who VidCon doesn't think are allowed to speak here. These are the people who get insulted by people on stage who are called the garbage human, right? The idea is that's not acceptable to anybody. It doesn't matter what your political leanings are, you shouldn't insult somebody from the stage, right? But VidCon supports one of these people in this incident. So, we want to create a space where it's just, hey, come in, hang out. No requirements, no fees. We'll see what happens. But this is all very preliminary, and that's what I think is legit. When I hear about this event with this company doing NDAs and non-competes, it just sounds inorganic. It sounds like somebody has found an opportunity to capitalize off of this community, and that's really what it's about. And I think that's why there's a non-compete, because it doesn't make sense, right? Why can't I speak at Kilroy and then an hour after my panel go across the street to Killjoy and speak about the same thing? I don't think anybody in the community disagrees with that, right? Everybody who's forced free speech would be like, yeah, by all means, like, go do your thing. Like, let's all talk and communicate. But this is very commercial, in which case they say, no, you can't speak for 16 months in the Phoenix area. That's just weird, Who else signed the NDA? Well, I can say a few things. There are many people who signed the NDA, and there are many people who have not. And in my opinion, based on what I've seen, it seems like most of the people who have signed it are people who don't have particularly large followings and don't mind signing something like this. But for some of the other people it'll be up to them to talk about it if they ever want to, there are more concerns about overlapping agreements, other speaking events, how this might impact existing contracts. And for me, I'm not a YouTuber, right? I guess you can say I am now, like YouTube is my main thing, but I come from the mainstream world. I come from the world of talent agencies and networks, and so I deal with things in a very different way than people who kind of just fell into being media creators. When I go to events, I have sat down with billionaire investors to talk about tech projects, and we do what's called a friend DA. A friend DA, they call it. It's just, listen, nobody's going to sit down and have a negotiation and talk business if they're going to be locked into some weird agreement about what they're not allowed to say. Nobody wants to get into that legal argument. And so this is disconcerting. We got a super chat here. Would you please reconsider if they back down? This seems like clumsiness based on inexperience. The organizers haven't worked on an event before and don't know how it works. Which I agree with. And that's why I also find it particularly frustrating that they repeatedly pushed a narrative about people's safety. That's not the case. The non-compete has nothing to do with people's safety. It's a double indemnification to make sure that people don't produce content at their event because they want to retain the rights to that content. That's what it is. I'll just say that. And I would say that to a certain extent, I believe that is confirmed based on my conversations with them. Okay, well, that's fine if that's what they want to do, but I would never agree to go to an event if that were the case. Like, I won't go to an event that does that. I'm a journalist. If someone at the event does something, yeah, I'm going to make a video about it. I'm going to talk about it. I am not going to go to a public event with the public and be one of the only people restricted from talking about what happens there. The attendees, I believe, aren't going to be signing these agreements. It just does not make any sense. So as for reconsidering, there's a reason why I'm not going to do it. When they told me via email they would not compromise, okay, if there is no compromise, I am not involved. And the moment I said that, we're done. This is not going to be a case of me throwing my weight around and getting them to capitulate to my whims. They can do whatever they want for the other speakers. If they retract the contracts, my decision is final, and what they do will have from this point on, my decision and my issues with what they presented to me will have no bearing on how they perform their event. I should say. To reiterate, There's nothing they could do, there's no amount of money they could offer me that I would agree to come back, not because I dislike them or anything like that, but because I don't want this to be an issue of I'm one of the speakers who threw a tantrum and got them to change their rules for me. That's not the case. They told me they would not compromise. My only recourse at that point is say, then we're at an impasse, I won't be speaking. They can do whatever they want at this point. I've already said I won't be speaking. I will not be attending. I've got a ton of things that I could be doing, and I'll be doing those things, right? I'm a busy beaver. I've got busy stuff to take care of. Got another super chat from Gareth Green. By the way, I was hoping to cover the Kilroy event for a Christian magazine and interview people. Will I be prevented from doing that? I don't know. What I can say is that to an extent, if you sign this agreement, potentially, look, if you sign the agreement, the answer is no, you can't do this. Does that mean they will enforce the contract against you? That's an entirely different discussion. Does that mean a court will uphold the agreement? Another entirely different discussion. The issue is, don't sign contracts you have not read and completely understand. And additionally, when someone comes to you with a contract and says, trust me, this is what the contract means, don't believe them. This is a reason why people hire lawyers for things like this. In my case, I am not a lawyer, but I've had a lot of experience with issues like this, and it is too akin to agreements I've been burned by in the past. I won't sign it. It's that simple. Busy beaver, is that a saying? Absolutely, busy beaver is a saying. Are you serious? Not for $10 billion. No, not for $10 billion. Now, there's something I often tell people. And I'll just present it to you guys, and so I can explain some philosophy. Would you work at McDonald's? Let's say McDonald's called you right now. Yo, we want you to come and work the register at the local McDonald's. You can come in and start first thing in the morning, full time. What is your answer? Or how do you respond? Well, most people are going to say, hell no, they wouldn't do it. But the correct answer in any circumstance is, how much? If McDonald's offered you $1 million to work the cash register for a year, I think you'd be crazy not to take it. That's the average person. For me, I've got more to consider than just, am I going to make money? So if the average person tells me they want to have a family, they want to buy a loft, get a car, and have 2.5 kids and a dog, then go for the McDonald's $1 million job. And I don't necessarily mean literally McDonald's, but if a company offers you a good salary and it's a bummer, but it's going to get you what you want out of life, then you should do it. If you are just starting your career and someone offers you a fat salary for 1 year, not even for a year, they're like, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year to come and work this job. Work as long as you can, save up your money, and then use that to invest in yourself and start what you want to do. For me, I'm already almost 7 years into a career producing media, and there are certain things I believe in. $10 billion, yeah, I wouldn't do it. Simply because I am an idiot ideologue who is more about the principle and what matters than just making a quick buck. I want it to be absolutely clear that this will not be a case of me trying to bully them based on my following or something like that. I really don't like hitting up companies when they screw me. You know, when I go on Twitter and tweet at them saying, like, you need to fix this, sometimes it's the only way. I don't like that because it creates this weird class of people who are allowed certain privileges simply because other people know who they are. I don't want that to be the case. As soon as they told me they wouldn't compromise, we were done. And they can make changes if they think other people are concerned, and if other people are concerned, good for them because I was concerned, but that's it for me, right? And now I see people in the comments are talking about a ton of things totally unrelated. All right, I'm reading the comments. I see that some of these aren't actually questions. People are saying now the busy beaver makes me a furry. Okay. My brother told me that I should open he was like, before you start the stream, open a My Little Pony tab and see if anyone notices. And I'm like, oh. No, he makes the weird videos. Someone said BS $10 million and you would do it. No, I wouldn't. I don't think you guys understand, man. Or the people who thinks that's the case. I wouldn't do it. Twitter is a toxic, disgusting place. And I was talking to Sargon, and he said that he feels so much better not being on Twitter. And Bundy said something similar on Dave Rubin. I'm like, they're right. You know, the public pressure is so annoying, and I would love nothing more than to just get a dog, go off into the middle of the woods, and do one of those, like, you know, that primitive technology YouTube channel. There you go. That's it. That's my life from now on. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot be bought. There's a thing called reasonable boundaries that people have. The average person's reasonable boundaries are fairly wide. They're susceptible to manipulation, social engineering, and if you want to make someone do something, there are relatively easy ways to do that. I am an overconfident, arrogant douchebag, in which case, on principle, I would rather be sitting in the woods with a dog shoveling dirt to build a mud hut than compromise my values. I tell people this: the ends don't justify the means because you never meet the ends. If a company came to me and said, compromise your values for $10 million, at what point are we saying, you know, I could say, okay, well, it's okay if I you know, break my my values or violate my personal ethics because then I'll have $10 million to do so much better. And that's what everyone says to justify all the horrible things they do. When Antifa goes out and beats people, they're like, well, you know, it sucks, but at least we're stopping fascists. And I'm like, right, I am not going to cross that line, period. Don't care. I don't think people understand what life is. What is $10 million? What's it going to do for you? You're going to wake up one day with $10 million and be like, now I can buy a boat? What people don't seem to realize about wealth and money is that there's no amount of money that's going to make life special, that's going to make you happy. Certainly there's an amount of money that can alleviate stress, like when your bills are coming, but at any level, no matter how much money you have, there's stress. Okay, so I was in DC on January 20th, and Casey Neistat was there. And I said to him something like, jokingly, did you fly in a private jet? And he goes, no, I took the train. That's right. Casey Neistat's a very wealthy individual, very successful. He took the train. $10 million is not going to get you to DC any faster than a train. A private jet takes so long to pay for and charter. It is not making your life any easier. People, it is one of the most frustrating things in the world. When people say, if only I had money. I'm like, if you had money, you wouldn't be doing anything with it. So a buddy of mine, he told me that his dream was to go to Bali. And I'm sitting there like, uh-huh. And so I said, okay, so go to Bali, dude. Like, why are you acting like it's some impossible task? And then he goes, I can't afford it, man. If I could afford it, I'd go. You know what I asked him? How much does it take to Bali? And he said, I don't know. You don't know? You said it was your dream. It's like your dream location. You don't even know what it costs to get a ticket. Are you saving money to go to Bali? Guess how much it costs to go round trip to Bali. At that point, I looked it up on Kayak on my phone, and if he booked it 2 months in advance, he could get a round trip ticket for like $650. It was a pretty crummy deal. It was like some boo-boo airlines that like connected in a bunch of different ways. $650. Go work, man. Save up for the month, and you know you're making decent money doing your gigs. Like you can afford $650. It's not like it's going to cost you $6,000 to go take this trip. And then people seem to think that it's so hard to do these things. $10 million would be nice. Maybe, I don't know what I would do with it. I mean, maybe I'd just... Seriously, I don't know what I'd do with it. You know, they say more money, more problems, and it's true. Let me hit these super chats because I don't want them to go away. What are your thoughts on the former employees of Gawker crowdfunding to buy their site back? Hey, do it to it. I mean, well, I got no beef. You do you. We do us. Furious George says, this contract represents a monopoly of thought and expression. It contradicts the event itself. Good choice, Tim. You can't fool the pool. I guess. But I would say that I'm very cautious in a lot of issues, but sometimes too cautious can be a problem, right? I'd have made a ton of money on Bitcoin if I just took a bigger risk, but I didn't. Hey, but I still made money when Bitcoin went up. Tommy H says, Kayak pay you. No. I don't have any direct sponsorships. There are no companies that pay me anything for any of the content that I do. I get paid to speak sometimes, and I've been given some free stuff. Sometimes I don't even know who gives me the free stuff because I have my address on the stream, my P.O. box, and someone sent me some cameras one day. Just like, can't use them, but it was really cool that someone sent me some cameras. Pretty all right. NDF says, Tim Pool, the regressive left either silences people because they know they can't make any arguments, or they want control over everyone, don't want people to hurt their stupid feelings. If I had Kotlolish, if I had $10 million, then I would first move to a new house and then upgrade my studio for work reasons and then invest some of it. The rest, I will put the money away for a rainy day. Whenever someone pay to ask Tim about Lauren Southern? What about Lauren? I don't know what some people are talking about. I think I missed some of the comments. So it's difficult. Like, I can't like stare at the comments and then look back at the camera. Heinz Guderian. Tim, an off-topic question. Do you watch Mumkey's videos, and what is your opinion on them? I've seen a couple of Mumkey's videos because my brother, who is Reactor, is friends with Mumkey. So that's about it. My brother does wildly different content to what I do. There's some viral videos he's made that they've got like over 1 billion views, I'm pretty sure. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. There's a video that was stolen so many times. You may have seen it. It's police dash cam footage of a van being pulled over, and then the driver has a balloon with drugs in it, and he sends the balloons away. And I mean, 2 years later, we still see it pop up on Facebook. Gareth Green, this makes me so sad. Should we give up hope for the whole event? Would you go next year if they change the terms? Do you think it's all a scam? I don't think it's a scam. I think it's someone trying to run a business. And I'm not going to sign an overbearing agreement which could compromise, excuse me, I just ate. It's going to compromise what I think I should be agreeing to. I mean, a 3-year NDA is unreasonable. I do not sign agreements for no reason. It might not matter. Someone could come to me and say, Tim, I have a contract that states that for 3 years you won't do a backflip off the Sears Tower. Guess what? I'm not going to sign it. There's no reason. Will I ever do a backflip off the Sears Tower? Hell no. That's ridiculous. But you never know. At some point, you might be like, you know what? I got a parachute. Really want to do this backflip, and they're letting me do it. You don't sign agreements simply because you think it won't be an issue. Unless you know full well what the contract means, you shouldn't be signing it. I can't believe this is so hard for people to understand. Skit the Desert says, I love your work. You just need to know that you kind of get stuck on the small things. Move past the NDA. It's the same with the idea the media is luring and misleading about things they're against. Someone said, please look at the question by Psycho 216. I don't know how to find that. How do I find the question by Psycho 216? If somebody else wants to put it up. Tim Pool is Christian Slater in a beanie. Tim, what's your long-term play in this community? Sounds like YouTube has no love for you. I actually did a phone call with Google about a lot of the issues that are affecting people. And no, they watch my stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they're watching right now, actually. I've consulted Google over the years like a dozen times. I've spoken at a ton of events. Look, this is my 3rd pair of Google Glass they gave me. I mean, obviously this was years ago they were giving me this stuff, but I still have it. It still works. Man, you know what's really, it's a bummer because I charged it up, turned it on. It's actually really awesome. You know, it just, Google did a terrible job of marketing it. And then what happened was everybody wanted it. And then YouTube, and then Google was like, okay, everybody wants it. What should we do? Tell them they can't have it. So the only reaction you can predict is that if people can't have it, then it must not be cool. Because nobody wants to be left out. When they did the Explorers thing, where everyone got awarded, like, you know, several thousand people got awarded this cool new device, all of a sudden they created an in-group. Well, the people who want to be cool, who can't because they weren't given the privilege, are now going to be offended and jealous and sour grapes, and they're going to say, oh my God, that's so lame, and then nobody wanted it anymore. But these things are actually really, really, it's not bad. I mean, there's a lot of problems with them for sure as an old prototype kind of device, but being able to just call up Google Maps and translate, take a picture, take a video, I'm like, that's actually really cool. Hands-free. It's too bad. Technology was fun. All right, let me see what... Anyway, yeah, I guess the point of that statement was that I think YouTube watches my stuff all the time for whatever reason. And I actually, as much as my videos get demonetized, they often don't. I guess I could say that my videos are less likely to be demonetized than many other channels for whatever reason. And maybe it's a combination of my strategic positioning and language that I use in how I upload my videos to avoid certain key terms, but try and still hit certain targets. You know, it is what it is. Tim, what are your thoughts on veganism? Anybody who, I don't care. Veganism, eat whatever you want, don't care. As long as you don't die. I will say that it is true that meat consumption it wastes a lot of fresh water and energy. But at the same time, do I think people should eat more vegetables and fibers? Yes, because we as Americans eat way too much meat. It's just like unhealthy, right? I try to eat a high protein diet, you know, getting some like nuts in there and meat, but still trying to get those fresh greens. Got to be healthy. Dave Cullen tweeted today, "We've been chatting to Tim. We'll work things out in the coming days." Was he lying or foolishly optimistic? Should I even go now? I don't want to tell you to go or not go. I really hate elitism. I don't like the idea that what I do or doesn't has like an impact on people. I get that these things exist, right? I was going to be speaking there. Dave did talk with me and is trying to work it out, but I have said numerous times, like, I'm just not going to go. Like, I'm not going to back down on that. I won't. I'm sorry. Like, I am 90% obstinate, right? So I'll say this. I accept that there may be some issue that arises where I end up going, sure, but I just think it's entirely unlikely at this point. I'm not a part of the YouTube skeptic community or anything like that. I'm just a guy who made videos for a couple companies, and I travel around talking about things that I find important. YouTube is the perfect medium for that. There's a lot of YouTubers I have a lot of respect for, and the people who are going are pretty cool people. I think Dave's a cool dude. Met him at VidCon, but I'm not an active member of the community. I know that often they debate each other, and they do Red Pill Black and Blair White are having like a debate on Dave Rubin. I don't do that. I don't have anything to do with that. Like this is like the most drama I would ever get into for any reason, you know, other than talking about like Antifa calling me a Nazi or something. Tim Pool, what are your thoughts on Aeromaga Sensei? I don't know what that is. Someone wants to know if I've seen a grown man naked. Yeah, I don't know, like a movie or something. I was in like pretty sure it's like a normal thing, like this naked dudes all over the place. Please cover the March for Life in DC on January 19th. Possibly. There might be stuff in the works already for January. I'm not entirely sure, but ramping things up, launching a podcast. So Southern says she's going as a guest and not signing the NDA and or NC. Yes. I talk to Lauren sometimes, and she mentioned that she hit me up and said, like, hey, I tweeted this thing out. And I was like, oh, you know, I saw that she tweeted it. I don't know what her plan is or what she's doing. I guess she saw my tweets and then let me know that she mentioned something. There are some other people who have raised concerns, but that's going to be up for Dave and whoever else. Z Smith says, you've been on fire lately. Love the new setup. Keep up the great work. Yeah, so I decided, you know, early on in this channel, I wanted to put a big focus on travel and like learning things, not necessarily about politics. But it's really difficult to balance discovery with important issues, whereas important issues can be a part of travel. Going to, recently, Emily and I, we went and shot this thing. We went to an abandoned pier. It's called the Spray Ground, they call it, in Philly. It's this abandoned pier. It was really awesome. And we made a cool video climbing up and looking around and exploring and experiencing this thing. Connecting that to important events, it's not there. There's no connection. And so that creates a problem for people who subscribe to my YouTube channel of like, hey, some people really like this, some people don't. But if we're focused on core issues in news and politics, which means more of my videos are going to be commentary in my apartment, then when I go and travel to places like Berkeley, go to Columbia, go to these communist Antifa protests, then people are going to see that discovery, but it's news related. So ultimately, I'll put it this way: the goal is trying to figure out how I can better serve news to people, and the best way is cover the news stories that people are excited about. That means sometimes I'm going to be sitting in front of my computer and just talking about some news topic. That way, when I can actually go out on the ground and report something, these people are going to be getting legit news. Someone says, Philly is terrible. Oh, I don't know. I had a cheesesteak. Cheesesteak was pretty good. Hugh Janus, we want your babies, Tim. So maybe I should. What I need to set up is I got this really awesome camera. I wonder if I have like a mirror. No, I don't. This is a really old camera actually. It's like a 2013, but doesn't it look so great? This is amazing. This is like, look at this webcam. Look at this. Garbage. I'm never gonna use it again. Tim, what is 2018 looking like for you? Launching Subverse. Subverse, my brother made it. He had a bunch of, my other brother wrote some like trendy trivia articles that went viral. The website got a ton of traffic, and it did so well that after I left Fusion, I was like, hey, do you still want to do this? Then we shut it down to start reorganizing. We had some other people involved that didn't end up working out, so it's kind of just been static, not really doing anything. But we're going to relaunch. Emily is going to be coming, presumably, like this is the plan for now. Emily will be coming down. She's going to be doing her thing on top of, the work that I'm already doing. We're going to basically add more stuff because she's been, if you're not familiar, Emily went with me to Sweden, so she does that kind of thing. And now we're going to try to focus on breaking news trips at least once a month, no matter what the issue might be. Right now, California wildfires would be pretty pertinent, but I have I'm contracted to be speaking, and I'm not really contracted, I should say. I didn't sign anything, but I'm going to be speaking at an event, right? That's the whole point of this stream. I am going to be speaking at an event. It's not a contract. It's just I'll call it an obligation, right? I agreed to do it. And then we're also going to be launching a podcast where we talk about social issues and politics with a launching point that is calling out bad reporting. So there'll be issues of free speech, free expression, news stories, politics, and we're going to be criticizing them. It'll be critical of the media, regardless of whether it's alternative or mainstream. The mainstream just gets the brunt because they're the big players, right? So that's I guess what it's all about. Let's see, got another super chat. What are you going to cover in Colombia? I don't think I'm going to cover anything in Colombia. I had a plan for Colombia back when people were fleeing Venezuela, which I believe is still happening to an extent, but there's nothing slated. I've got like a huge list of stories around the world. The challenge is, let's put it this way, going to Barcelona was a struggle because the way that the Catalonians handled the independence was so slow. It cost a ton of money to be there, and for the most part, you're sitting around waiting for something to happen because they did it on purpose. They tried to stretch it out to pressure the Spanish government or something like that. And that's a struggle. So I just need to make sure that international stories, they have to be really valuable to the conversation, right? There's a mix. Some stories like, I'll put it this way. If Spain happened again, would I go? Absolutely. Because it's not about market forces. It's about what I think is important. And so sometimes I will take a hit financially to make sure I can cover something that I think is important, regardless of whether or not it's going to sell 1 million issues or whatever, however you want to describe it, get 1 million views. At the same time, I also want to make sure I'm not going out and covering stories that literally no one cares about, right? If I started telling everyone that there was this really important story about the igneous rock formation in the West, well, I don't know why anyone would care about that. I don't think it's important to how the world works. I want to make sure that the stories I do matter to people because they're going to impact them. I want to make sure I can better inform people on issues that impact their lives. And in turn, make sure that I don't neglect stories simply because I don't think enough people care about it. If the story is impactful, it has to be covered, and sometimes I lose money on that, sometimes I make money on that. This is the easiest way to put it, I guess. All right, a couple more questions, and we're approaching an hour, so I think I'm gonna call it in a second. But if you guys want to pop up in the questions, I'll read what else you got. Somebody asked about a question from Psycho. They paid a super chat, but someone says I missed her super. Let me see if I missed any super chats. I don't think I missed any super chats. Okay, someone says, I missed a couple in the beginning. Just want to say thanks for doing good work. You found your life's purpose from Devin Stone. Coco Spop said, you going to talk about QAnon? I'm not sure what that is. Some guy says traps are not gay. I think that might get my channel banned for saying that, so Yeah, I don't know. I think I got all the super chats. I don't know. Someone said I didn't get it, but it's not in my super chat feed. So, hey Tim, have you ever been in a Turkish prison? No, I have not, and I don't plan to. Put up the speech you were going to give online. It was a panel. It was going to be a series of questions about media, and I wasn't actually given the specifics about what it was supposed to be. Did Dave Cullen decide the contract? No, I don't think there's anything to do with Dave. Someone said, Tim, please change your clothes. I'm concerned. I'm gonna let you guys in on a surprise, a secret. You guys ready for the secret? I certainly have more than one pair of clothing. So I'm going to explain to you why I have more than one of the same hat and certainly more than one of the same shirt. You ready for the secret? When you do shoots, when you do professional documentary, sometimes things fall out of sync. I take a certain issue with this kind of practice, certainly. What'll happen is you'll interview someone and then you'll have to go somewhere else, which doesn't fit the chronology of the day. So I guess the easiest way to put it is there might be an event at 8 a.m. that you wake up, right, like as soon as you wake up, you're like, oh crap, we gotta go film this, and then you're filthy. Your clothes are destroyed and you have to keep going. You need the same clothes because it would be weird if you went out and did an interview and then in the next scene we're wearing a totally different shirt. So working with Vice and Fusion, you'd have like my travel case, it's like 10 gray shirts and like 3 overshirts, because if you trash a shirt, you need to keep wearing the same clothes. Otherwise, people are going to be like, people are going to assume it was like a different day or something, or just be. I did one shoot, I can't remember what it was, but they were like, my shirt got filthy, and they were like, hey, we need to film you changing shirts so that we can put it in the video. And I'm like, seriously? Yup. And from that point on, multiple outfits. There you go. It's also like, I don't know, I'm like a cartoon character. I always have like a specific outfit that I wear, and it slowly changes. So when I go skating, I have a blue outfit, right? I've got, what color are the shoes? No, yeah, I've got like white shoes and blue jeans and a blue shirt and a blue hat. And then I have a green shirt, which is an army green shirt with green pants and white shoes as well, and a green hat. Most of the time when I'm doing anything, it's just like gray, but I have like a few different specific outfits. Another super chat. The people in Colombia think that Santos just worked for the international recognitions of a peace prize, but doesn't work for Colombia. Well then. Tim Pool has best character progression arc. Oh yeah, it's a total cartoon, right? I wonder how it's gonna end. Gareth Green says, you missed my last super chat. All right. Gareth Green said, I heard some of Joy Sparkle's BS complaints about Based Mama during the Daddy 05 controversy. Do you think she is honest and trustworthy? You know, I hate to disparage people, but I would just say that when she took to Twitter saying that this is about people's safety and then saying things like, I wouldn't give assurances that I wasn't going to expose people, that's a false narrative. The NDA and non-compete in no way protect people's identities. Like, I think I've said it a million times. If somebody goes to Kilroy and somehow gains access to one of these people's names, how are you going to prove who leaked it? Certainly you can't assume that I would show up there, read the list of people's identities, and then walk outside with a microphone and say, I just want to let everyone know her name is Jane Doe and her name is, Janet Doe. That's not what's going to happen. Anybody who's going to dox somebody is going to pass off the information to, say, Antifa or to the jihadis, the people they're concerned with, and no one's going to know who did it. The NDA does not protect anybody. And this excuse is disingenuous, it's manipulative, and it's frustrating for me to see people on Twitter repeating it over and over again as if it's going to protect anybody. It will not. The agreement does nothing. They're going to show 20 plus speakers, privy information. First of all, don't do that. Why would you give someone's private information to another person? I don't want my private information going to any of these people. The NDA shouldn't be on our end, it should be on their end. We should be giving them agreements saying you need to sign this and promise us that you're not going to share our information with other people. So let's say they give 20 people all this private information and then all of a sudden it goes public. How are you going to know who did it? The NDA does not protect this. It's absolutely absurd to suggest that it does. And with the non-compete coupled into this agreement, it makes me feel like there's something else going on they're not talking about, and they're lying to get people to sign it. I take personal offense to that. It's insulting, okay? I am not some neophyte who has never dealt with this kind of thing before. They can convince all the little Twitter people they've got, the smaller channels they got coming. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, so I apologize for that. But they can go to these smaller channels, people who are less experienced, and get them to sign some strange agreement on a lie, and I don't play that, okay? I got a ton of experience in this area. I've been burned before, and I'm not going to take part in it. I'm insulted that they would even try to play this appeal to emotion of, oh, but people's safety, and then now you got people on Twitter accusing me of being like some crummy, shady journalist who was threatening to dox them or some other nonsense. It's a regressive tactic. It's what Antifa says about me. Oh, Tim Pool, he's just trying to play PR for the Nazis and lie about it. Like, yeah, you made that up, okay? Like, I posted this thing where I've got a ton of photos of me hanging out with refugees. There's a photo of me teaching refugee children how to fly a drone. And what they do is, take for instance, like It's Going Down, the far left website, said that Patreon caved to me and got It's Going Down banned from Patreon. Because I did something, seriously, talking about the story, and because Jack Conte talked to me on the phone, somehow I got It's Going Down banned. They make up this false narrative so they can rally people behind them to come at odds with me, right? And that's exactly what Base Mama was doing, and I think it's insulting, and I don't. Look, I'll put it this way. Not only is I don't care what they do to rectify the contracts to try and get me to come back. I'm not going to come back because I think what they're doing is shady. Not Dave. Dave's cool. I think Dave's trying to solve this problem, but whoever the other people are involved, I don't know who this person was on the phone earlier today. I don't know who these people are. And trying to get me to sign an employment agreement, that literally makes no sense, okay? I'm not going to play that game, right? And you're trying to get people to sign non-compete so they can't produce content. They want to own the rights of the content at the event. Nah, that's not happening, okay? And then telling people online, you know what, man? I'm really pissed off about a lot of this, and I hate getting involved in drama. But you know what? I'm just gonna say it, okay? I'm just gonna flat out say it. I talked to some people earlier and said maybe I shouldn't do it, but I'm just gonna say it. I was on the phone with them, and they said these are employment contracts. You will be an employee of Kilroy. They backpedaled a little bit, and then they said that these contracts are to make sure that people don't produce content, that anything that comes out of Kilroy they can review and control. All right, that's exactly it. And I said sure, and they went and talked about something else, and I said, do you think I should bring this up and tell people that's what the agreement was? And they, well, I don't know, it could be bad for the event. And I'm like, sure, screw it, whatever. But I'm just so frustrated with this false narrative on Twitter accusing me of somehow trying to threaten the safety of individuals. It's a lie, it's manipulative, and they flat out said it's about having an employment agreement, stopping other people from going to other events, using the knowledge they gain from this event to launch their own event, or from producing content that Kilroy can't control or review. End of story. Super chats. Gareth Green says, thanks, and you sure it wasn't just cluelessness that you didn't know better? Yeah, see, when I started this, when I made the video earlier today, I shot that video before I got on the phone with them. And I didn't even want to get on the phone with them, right? I'm like, look, just I don't want to be involved. But immediately, as soon as I get on the phone, they start telling me things like, don't worry, this is what the contract really means. And I got pissed. I snapped right away. I was like, I am not going to sit here and listen to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about try and placate me, giving me assurances about what a contract does or does not mean. I know what the language means, and I know how it can be interpreted, and I know how to argue it in court. So you're not going to get me to sign it. Why am I on this call? And then there were a bunch of questions asked, and essentially it alluded to, well, it's, we don't want employees taking people's information and then, they said, let's say you film a video or take a photo or something, we don't want you to be able to go and sell that somewhere else. And I'm like, right, so according to this contract, you can't take a video there and upload to your YouTube channel. That's competing with them, because that's what they said. And they said something like that, and then they backpedaled a bit saying, no, it's you're not an employee, you're a contractor. Well, no, you're not really a contractor. I don't know what the point was they're trying to make. I don't know who these people are. I don't owe them anything. And I feel I'm really upset that a lot of people have already signed these agreements. And I'm also kind of upset at myself because I think I should have just said this from the get-go. After I got the call, I spoke with some people who I'm not going to call them out. It's up to them if they want to talk about it. And they said, look, you know, don't burn the thing down. Don't bring this up. And I was like, God, do I really want to, like, you know, fucking, I shouldn't even be swearing. I don't want to swear. I'll get in trouble on YouTube. But do I really want to step on these on this event by coming out with this stuff? Is it bad? And you know what? I think what they're doing is bad. So there you go. I just said it all. End of story. I got frustrated. And I'm frustrated because I see these people on Twitter saying, like, Tim Pool's shady and then lying about what these contracts really mean, manipulating inexperienced creators so they can control the content coming out of the event. I totally understand why they're doing it. They're capitalizing. It's normal business. I understand. I just don't want to be involved. So don't try to get me to sign an employment agreement, a non-compete and an NDA, because I don't work for you, don't want to work for you, and I was gonna show up to the hotel, walk up, stand up, talk about stuff, and leave. And you can monetize that. Absolutely, you can capitalize off my presence. But then to say that, like, they also told me that the provision in the contract that states, you can look, I'll put the link to the contract in there. You guys can read all this. Some dude tweeted out the thing. I'm gonna post it in the chat right now. Hopefully it works. I don't know if YouTube will allow me to do it. Let me know if that link works. Psycho, Tim Pool, if this legal document came out after the GoFundMe, are people who donated able to make a legal complaint to GoFundMe? I don't know. I think you should just try and talk to the people organizing the event. I feel bad. I think Dave's a nice guy, and I think he's really trying to solve this, but I'm really put off by how they handled this. And I don't even know why they had me on that call earlier, because I said I wasn't going to do it, but I understand they're trying to calm tensions. This is really simple. It's an issue of a company, Kilroy Event LLC, capitalizing off the hole in the market because the skeptic community, the anti-feminist, whatever you want to call it, needed a space to communicate. And so they set up the event, which is entirely in their rights. They raised money for it. Many of the speakers agreed to attend. And then they tried getting people to sign what was essentially, as they explained it first, an employment agreement of some sort, and then backpedaled saying it wasn't an employment agreement. You know, they told me, like, you would be an employee, and then said, well, no, you wouldn't be. So I don't know what they were getting at. But they did flat out say, this is to prevent employees, people who are going to be at the event, you know, in an official capacity, from taking photos or videos and then selling it to someone else. Okay, what if that someone else is my personal business, like my YouTube channel? What if it's Subverse? Why can't I film at this event? This is totally unreasonable in my opinion, and there's no beef. I'm just not going to be involved. But what you know what really pisses me off, and the reason why I'm just coming out and saying all this, is that she goes on Twitter and says this is an issue of safety, because that's a manipulation technique. It's an appeal to emotion. So that now you've got people like Razor Fist saying, oh, what's totally reasonable? What? It's just so that people don't get doxxed. Yes, I do not appreciate groupthink manipulation. And when I see these people backing this false narrative, I get really pissed off. And if you want to put me on a phone call where you're going to tell me that this is an employment agreement, that you're an employee, and we don't want you to be able to produce content and then sell it somewhere else, all right, that's what you need to say in public when people ask you why this agreement exists, not lie about people's safety. Because an NDA in no way protects people's safety. It is not standard for any speaking event. That is just not true. It is manipulation. It is total bullcrap. And I'm absolutely insulted at how they're handling this. And I tried being polite, but I'm just, you know what, I snapped. I'm fed up. Well, let's look at some of the comments here. Now that I'm done screaming at the phone after the 1 hour of trying to be calm about it. Someone says Roy Moore is winning. I think Roy Moore is going to win. Personally, I'm not a fan. I think you guys know, like, I'm not a politically right person. I don't like the left-right dichotomy that exists in this country. Not a huge fan of Roy Moore. I think that whole thing is messed up. What's going on down there? It's a really complicated situation, and there's a lot of reasons to think Roy Moore is we'll call him I don't even know how to describe him. Let's just say I wouldn't vote for him. It's the easy way to put it. I wouldn't vote for Trump either. I wouldn't vote for Hillary, and I wouldn't vote for Bernie. Bernie's as close as I got. I still don't really like the guy. We'll put it that way. Tim, what do you think of Roy Moore's resounding victory? Did he win? Oh, Lauren Southern just popped in, huh? Yeah, I'm angry. You know, Lauren, tell Tim to sign his contract to protect Sargon from the feds. Are you going to put some skating on your second channel? Yes, second channel is like runoff content. So the thing I shot at the Philly Pier, I might edit and then put up on my second channel, just because hey, I make videos. It depends. You know, I don't know. It just entirely depends. You know what I need to do is I need to get a setup so that I can have other people come on the stream at the same time, because there's some people in the chat right now who I could have come in and talk about this stuff. But you know, it is what it is. I think there's going to be some people who are really, really mad at me for having just revealed the large portion of the phone call I had with some of the organizers. I will say that Dave Cullen was totally totally good dude and very, very, I believe he's honest and was working on the for the betterment of the event and for the people who are speaking there. I don't know who these other people are. I don't think they know what they're talking about. They said some things that were insulting to me that should have been made public, and now they are. So there you go. Zect says, Lauren is the hottest dude in Canada. Okay. Someone says, Tim, did you get to skate in Korea? I don't remember. I don't remember if I skated in Korea. I feel like I did. Did I? I don't think I did. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it was really hot there. Danger Mouse, Tim, if you're ever in the DC metro area, let's meet up and skate. Yeah. I've got a couple videos. Here's what you guys should do. If you like skateboarding, go to... you shouldn't do it right now because you're watching my live stream, but Brett Novak, his YouTube channel is youtube.com/BRAGIC. Subscribe to his channel. He's really close to breaking 100,000. He's been on YouTube way longer than I have, and he's got some like really famous skate videos. He made this beautiful cinematic. I've known Brett since we were teenagers. I've got a couple videos on his page, so I think if you search Tim Pool Brett Novak, you should see some skate videos I have. And one of them, it's like one of his most viewed shorts. It's like, certainly he's got videos with millions and millions of views, but one of the shorts he filmed, like they're mini episodes, like a minute long, has like 50,000. That's one of mine. So I'm super proud of that because I've been skateboarding my whole life, and I love skateboarding. Someone asked, would you let Amos Yee move in with you? He's looking for a place. We're all full up. Yeah, no more room. Certainly anyone's... well, most people are welcome to come hang out. Yeah. Look forward to seeing the Angry Tim Pool account in your comments. Tim, you missed 2 supers. All right, let me see if... Goat Cheese said, hey, Tim, huge fan and patron. Would you be interested in royalty-free music? Sure. I've got 2 libraries because I'm with Fullscreen, the MCN, which is... they've been really great to me and helped me out with a ton of stuff, which is awesome. And I have music libraries with them, but if you want to email me, tim@tagg.ly, send me what you got. I'm down to use whatever. I'm actually super into supporting musicians, so if anybody has any good music they want me to use, like by all means send it. And guess what? Don't need a contract. You don't got to send me an NDA or non-compete. You can just literally send me an email saying, hey Tim, would love it if you use my music in one of your videos, and then if I can fit it in, I will. And that would be fun. About 6 videos of you in Brett's video. I got a really old one. I've got like one of the OG videos from Brett's channel when I was like 19. Can we see your apartment? Yeah, I think we can pull that off. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if the audio is going to work. I don't know what my range is going to be either. All right. So check it out. I think I did this before with a live stream, but I'm going to point at stuff and tell you what it is. So that's my YouTube subscriber button. Those 2 coins up top, that's the LA Coliseum coins I showed you. This right here, that's my thyroid. That was from when I was in Fukushima, and I had to get a thyroid screening afterwards because the radiation was really bad. I don't think it really mattered, but it was fun to do. This, above it, that's a flyer from Fukushima that says that there's wasps, snakes, bears, and boars, so you'll die. Up here, if you guys know what any of that stuff is, just call it out, because you're going to be like, oh, that's so cool. I got a loot box on the left, which has it's like a piggy bank. Then I've got an alpha lightning bolt right here. This is it's the first set of magic. It's sealed. I'll just pull it up. Look at this. Magic the Gathering. Alpha lightning bolt. Beautiful. Lightning bolt does 3 damage. It's an amazing card. Never exist again. And then I've got some magic anthology stuff. I've got this Whiskey Project Arbor skateboards. I've got Ferguson. This is the documentary I made on Ferguson. Underneath it, this is a press band from Thailand. You wear that if you don't want to die, because they do shoot people. Just next to it, this right here on the wall are pins. One of them's a fire extinguisher, and one of them's a grenade. This right here is my certification for hostile environment. What does it specifically say? Just heat course. I don't think it breaks down the acronym. But it's like hostile environment action training or something. I don't know. And then below that, so this is a Catalonian ballot. One of these is my brother's, thing from our vine. I've had these guitars for a very, very long time. Then I've got some skateboards. This crime scene tape. This is crime scene tape from New York in Bed-Stuy, where 2 cops got assassinated in front of my house. So you may have heard the story. A black nationalist went up to a Latino and Asian cop in their car and shot them in the head. This was the police tape from that, because it happened literally down the street from my apartment, and I was like, they sealed off my entire street. Then I've got a Catalonian flag. It's not meant to be in support of Catalonia. It's a representation of my having gone there during the independence movement. And then I've got an autographed Billy Corgan pillbox poster. So, yeah. And then that's my mini studio setup. So there you go. Those are the decorations that I have. And I think there's a lot more stuff that I can pull up for you guys right now. I don't want to do a weird loop thing, but check this out. No charges for Wilson. I need to get this framed. This is the newspaper that came out when Darren Wilson was acquitted. And then there's a box of stuff right here. This is from a documentary of when I was in Ukraine, and I don't know if you can really make it out, but this is just a screen grab I took, because I actually had fragments of Lenin, like little bits of rock from the statue, but they're sledgehammering Lenin after they pulled him down. It was pretty damn crazy. I got a bunch of other stuff in here. YouTube gives me gifts because I consult for them so frequently. But these are cool headphones. I just never found any use for them. Here's a treat for you guys. These are rings you get when you work at Vice. Yes, and there's much more, but for now I think that's sufficient. Let me see if I got any super chats that I may have missed in the meantime. Tim rants are awesome. Yell about more stuff. Oh yeah, you betcha. You betcha. Tim, play the guitar. Oh, I'm a really good guitar player. Is Tim tall? I'm 5'10", so I just average. Tim, what do you think about the Hispanic immigrant problem? From the way you phrase it, I don't know. I think it's much more complicated and nuanced than, first of all, calling it a problem is political. The left that are open borders, which is really baffling to me that the left is open borders, because even Hillary Clinton was calling for a border barrier. But yeah, they're totally open borders, let everyone in. I'm not open borders. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a nationalist, but I would certainly say that. So I consider myself classic liberal. Like, I understand why the U.S. has borders and why we want to maintain the integrity of our culture and the things we believe in. You know, it's really strange that. It's not really strange. I think a lot of the people that are open borders just haven't traveled the world and haven't seen some of the horrifying things that happen. They don't pay attention to it. You know, they're very open and accepting of a lot of people, but I think there are people on the right that are too hardcore and they cross into the area of xenophobia. I'm not saying this is the right. There's an element of the far right that they become a bit xenophobic, where they're just like, keep them all out, no immigration, yada, 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 like much more hardcore stance, as opposed to like controls and moratoriums on travel. Then you have people on the left who are like, let everybody in, anybody can do whatever they want. Certainly you have anarcho-capitalists who are like, let everybody in, let them do whatever they want, market forces decide. But, you know, having been to neighborhoods where, or I should say, like, having watched people die in front of me and be shot even in like St. Louis, watching people get beaten to crap in like Egypt, and just generally, you know, like going to places where it's really terrifying and not a fun place to be. I'm like, I come back to America, like to the U.S., and I'm like, man, look how nice it is here. You know, certainly we want to help everybody we can, but let's make sure that, I'll put it this way. They tell you to secure your air mask, your oxygen mask on an airplane before securing the person next to you, and I think that's the right way to do it. If we want to continue to be able to help people, we got to make sure that we're supporting ourselves. And it's so crazy, that's a controversial opinion, that the left is like opposed to that. They're just straight up open borders and heavy taxation. It's strange. But hey, I'm a centrist kind of person. Tim is your run-of-the-mill woke race mixed liberal classical centrist. All right. Crazy in Egypt, yeah, certainly. Well, I've been streaming for like an hour and a half, and so I think I think I should wrap things up at this point. This is it's like one of my first tests setting up, like, you know, the Streamlabs chat and other stuff. So audio is desynced. Oh, you know, I got a microphone here in the camera, so it's probably screwing up. But yeah, let me know if you guys have any final questions. I'm gonna give it another 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna get out of here. So Anthony Harvey side boob. Look at, what's Lauren Southern doing coming and invading my chat? She's a Nazi baby killer, apparently. She tried to drown a bunch of refugee babies or something. I hope you realize I'm being facetious. Tim, are you following the MTG banning people for wrongthink story? A little bit. I saw it here and there. It's not something I heavily focused on, so I think I'm missing a lot of the story. But I did see that there were people who got warnings for posting on Facebook, which is just like, what? I will also say, I've been playing Magic the Gathering since Antiquities, which I think it was the second set released. I was a little kid, I had no idea what I was doing, but me and my friends, like our parents, went and bought us a bunch of cards. I've been playing chess since I was a little kid. So we had these cards, we played like idiots. And it wasn't until 4th edition where I actually had an idea of how to like structure a deck. Growing up playing Magic, being a skateboarder, I've always been a roguish kind of, like, I don't know, not in group, right? I'm not a jock. I'm not on the basketball team. I'm not hanging out with these kids. I wasn't out with the core skaters or like that. I was just like kind of all over the place. But Magic the Gathering community's got some scumbags in it, and I think, you know, we can all be fair and say, man, I wouldn't say it's the reason or even the main reason, but I used to go Friday Night Magic, right? It's comic shops have an event every Friday night. They call it Friday Night Magic, where people play Standard, which is the newest sets, and you compete. And there was just too much nasty behavior, right? It's just like, oh, you dudes are gross, man. And I feel it kind of annoys me because it's totally subjective. It's totally based on the shop you're at, and the shops I was at were just not fun. And I also want to make sure that this is not indicative of the entire Magic community, because some of my really good friends, when we would hold events and like invite people to come down and like have beers and like watch horror movies or like Game of Thrones and then play Magic, it's the most legit stuff ever. It's like fairly centrist behavior, I guess, right? We're all like open to discussing politics, agreeing and disagreeing, playing cards, laughing about it. Nobody's a sleaze bag, and it's just, there are just some people in the community, and I don't think it's indicative of Magic. I think it's just, there's some people who are just douchebags, you know? And so I guess my point is, when I hear these stories about what's going on in Magic, I kind of cringe at the way Wizards is handling it, like banning people and like seizing, Magic Online assets. And I feel like I've experienced, douchebags in the Magic community, but the reason I've never taken it to be like, oh, the Magic community is so bad, because I'm like, yeah, but I've experienced, douchebags like everywhere. I think it's just you put enough dudes in a random space, and you're gonna end up with some jerk saying something nasty, and then it's easy to take that one situation and blow it out of proportion. So I don't know. I also don't want to get too much involved because I don't know too much about what's going on. So Gareth Green says, would you consider going to Kilroy in a future year without the shadiness? Potentially, more so than I am now, but probably not, simply because, aside from the weird shadiness that I always cite Hanlon's razor, never attribute to malice that which is easily explained by incompetence. And so it feels like they're trying to run a business and they don't understand the ramifications of the things they're setting up and how they're setting it up. I've sat down with millionaires, massive investment firms, who absolutely refuse to have a meeting with you, to even shake your hand if you want an NDA. They'll be like, nope, not gonna happen. You want an NDA, go bring it somewhere else, because the last thing anybody wants to deal with is having someone try to restrict what they may not be allowed to say. It's too confusing. I have people tell me, you have a really good idea for an app, don't tell anybody. This is another misconception. Okay, I've been working in tech for a very long time. And a friend of mine in LA was like, we're sitting on a bus, and I said, hey, I'm working on an app, and here's what it does. And they immediately were like, whoa, like, don't say it out loud. People will hear you. They'll steal your idea. No, they won't. Nobody's going to steal your idea. It's not easy to implement these things. If people could just steal your idea, there would be awesome technology all over the place. I could walk outside and yell at the top of my lungs exactly the ideas I have for developing tech, and no one will do it. It's so specific. Putting these ideas together is not in any way going to be easy. So when you go and meet with investors for your idea, you don't need an NDA, because look at it this way. The investor is going to give money to somebody they think is going to turn that money into more money. If I go to an investor and say, here's my idea, and that investor is going to be like, I like that idea. This person had the idea. They've already worked on the idea. They're implementing it. Well, why invest in somebody else if they're already on their way to finishing this idea that I also think is a good idea? I'll invest in it. There is a likelihood, there's a possibility that they're going to be like, oh man, I can do this entirely on my own faster. Sure, that can happen, but usually investors are like, well, I got a guy sitting in front of me who says he's going to do it, he's passionate about it, he's working on it, he's already done most of the work, and now he just needs more money to expand. Count me in. So, yeah. All right, well, I think this about wraps it up. I think I got through all the super chats. Thanks for hanging out for the hour and a half. I think I just pissed off a ton of people, but whatever, man. I just don't care. What's the point of being alive? What's the point of living if you're gonna shill for other people? What's the point of living if you're gonna keep secrets at the expense of others? I you know what, man? I'm just kind of person that's like, if you're gonna tell me something, and I'm gonna tell people. There's other people to consider in this. There are people who are going to be spending money on this event, and there are people who are speaking at this event. And if you're going to tell me something on the phone, and that's the case, then I think everyone has a right to know. So, it is what it is. So, feel free to hit me up. Is heaven a half pipe? I really like vert, but, yeah, I don't think it's a half pipe. Maybe a street course with some ledges. Small stair set. Maybe like a 5 or 6. Yeah. Play acoustic guitar song for us. You will cheer us and yourself up. Gareth Green, I am so sorry this broke your heart. That was not my intention. I think whatever this community is on YouTube of out-group free expressionists, whatever you want to call it, includes people on the right, the left, the center, but people who are generally more likely to be independent thinkers. They need an event. But it needs to be a, hey, everyone show up to this bar on this day, and not a, we formed an LLC and want everyone to sign this non-compete agreement, because, contact lens. That's not friendly. This is the problem of wearing contacts. And now I'm not. Was that gross? Too bad. Kilroy divided. No, I think it's just me. I talked to some people who were, they said they signed it. And they signed the agreement and they didn't know better and they didn't care. And I hope you enjoyed watching me. I'm seeing now the delay of where I pull my contact out. See, this is the worst thing about wearing contacts. I'm not going to get LASIK though, that's for sure. Yeah, some people are saying, don't... Did your contact just fall out, WTF? No, like something went under my contact and I couldn't get it out, so I just pulled it out. Kilroy, screw them if they can't accommodate actual free speech or support free speech. Someone give Tim some saline solution. Seriously, I have saline. It's like in the back. It's in the bathroom. I have daily contacts because I had the 2-week ones and they were causing problems, so I had to get dailies, which really sucks. Tim is the era of bitchy SJW websites like Gawker and Correct coming to an end. Mashable struggling, hopefully BuzzFeed eventually. BuzzFeed's down like 20% and they just laid off a ton of staff, or at least planning to. Yeah, I kept warning these companies, man. Look at YouTube and look at the like to dislike ratio on this content. It can only go so far. Vicious Snake. Tim, go to Kilroy, but not as a guest speaker. Go as yourself and ask the audience their opinions about the NDA. See if you can still make a video off of it. Maybe. I don't know if, like, I don't want to go to Phoenix. You know, like going for an event makes sense, but going as an attendee and just fanning the flames of an issue that, look, I fully expect, my prediction is that tomorrow there will be some more drama about this. Some people will ask me some more questions and I might have to address it one more time, but it's going to slowly trail off. This is probably the peak of it, and that's going to be the end of it. I don't want to go and cause any issues and be involved. I just think that they're trying to run their business and they're trying to make money, and they're trying to make money off of a bunch of people who don't know better, and it's not a friendly environment. I have been invited to conferences from people I've never met before, and it was so friendly. Handshakes and high fives. I've been flown to countries. I've been paid to speak at places, and it's all handshakes and high fives. And this is not that. This is somebody who, it seems like they don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to put overbearing legal protections. It's like they're treating the speakers as if they're potential enemies. I don't know about you guys, but aside from the stuff I've already complained about, I just don't feel good going to an event where they treat me like an adversary. I like going to places where people show up and they're like, "Yo, Tim," and they like high five me, and I'm like, "What's going on, man? Like, what's happening? Like, let's party, you know? Like, let's hang out and have a good time." I don't like going to events where it's like, "I signed the agreement. Here's what I will and will not say. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Now show me the door." Like, that's just not fun. Another super chat here from Gareth Green. What's wrong with LASIK? It's not permanent. At a certain point in your life, your eyes start degrading again, so contacts work. I don't have any problems. Oh, so more lost, huh? Tim, don't sell out like Cenk, okay? Yeah, I think I don't know what I would say about the Young Turks. I know Cenk, and I've talked to him before, and I at VidCon I criticized him to his face. Like, I'm not a dick about it. I said, look, I think you guys, some of the stuff you're pushing with money out of politics, I agree with. I can get behind, but I also told him, I was like, look, man, you guys have a progressive like political action committee, and you're supposed to be a news organization. I think that's disingenuous. Certainly, I understand. I appreciate that you tell your audience like this is who you are, it's what you do. It's better than what a lot of people do. But there is inherently a problem with people who are pushing a political narrative. And, you know, it was cool about it. I got no disrespect for Cenk. I think he believes what he believes. He's going to do what he's going to do. There's good things about him. There's bad things about him. But I don't have any beef with anybody because I think we all have different beliefs based on our perspective of the world. And I have no disrespect for that. It's a life lesson when it comes to people who are religious and people who aren't. You've got to understand that the truth is subjective. There is factual truth that we can inherently see, that we can objectively see. But to an individual, someone might say it is true that, you know, that the Dodgers are the greatest baseball team, and they just refuse to believe otherwise. But how do you really quantify certain things? Some people believe it's true that communism is the best form of government. Some people believe it's true that capitalism is the best form of government. But at the end of the day, it's an opinion. You might think capitalism is better because it resulted in significantly less deaths than communism in the past 100 years. But there might be people who actually agree with the deaths from Stalin and Mao, in which case, like, well, if you think those are good things, then your opinion is that it's good. Like, I don't know, like, that's just your opinion, you know? It's been an hour and 40 minutes. When are you going to interview Mumkey Jones? Yeah, maybe. I think Mumkey's a funny guy. He's had some really funny videos. I actually did a commentary on one of his videos, which also bled into like some other issues around demonetization. That being said, he made a really great joke where he said that I summarized his 2-minute video in 11 minutes. And I think it's hilarious. He has like my brother showed me this clip in one of his videos where he said commenting on other people's YouTube videos is stupid, and then my YouTube channel flashes real quick and then disappears. I think it's hilarious. All right. Who will be in your podcast? Right now, it is me and Emily. We're trying to have a third person. I don't know who that will be. Emily's not going to be up in New York for a month or so. It's not guaranteed. We haven't officially scheduled anything, but for now, it seems like Emily will be coming to New York, helping me ramp up production, working on her own stuff. We're going to be expanding through Subverse, and we're going to be doing a podcast that has to do with media criticism and general news and culture. So for now, it'll be the two of us. And I gotta say, between the two of us, you'll hear some really amazing conversations because she was just visiting New York for a few days. There were some like events and stuff, and we had a lot of amazing conversations where I was like, dude, we should just record this. Like we were talking about. She's more to the left than I am, right? She's a bit more feministy, but I think she would actually be like, don't call me that. But she certainly is more left than I am, and I'm like slightly to the left. So it's interesting debate and conversations. It's friendly, and I think we'll have some like guests come on and stuff. So I can just say that it's going to be rad. Like I was really interested in the conversations we were having, and I mostly find, that my conversations are boring. Like I can't even believe I talked for an hour and 40 minutes already because I'm like, what am I even saying? So what is more winning? Someone asks, who is Emily? Well, if you'd like to know who Emily is, she's on Twitter at MomesMolly. So that's MomesMolli, and that is Emily. She is a freelance journalist, and she'll be coming. She worked with me in Sweden, so if you look at my Sweden videos and you see her, she's operating the camera and in some of the shots when I'm using the gimbal. And she'll be coming down, doing some of her stuff, but then helping me with bigger projects like documentary and then podcast. And, we'll see what happens. There's no big foundation. We're just going to come. We're going to start doing stuff. That's always what it's about. Come here, do stuff. We'll figure out what works. And then in like 5 years, we'll have like a podcast, like empire and documentary, and we'll be bigger than everybody else. And yeah. Rad. How old am I? I'm 31. Lauren just came to dislike the stream and leave. I'm going to be 32 in March. And yeah. All right. I got to go. It's been an hour and 42 minutes. I went way over, but I sort of snapped 30 minutes ago and probably just pissed off a lot of people at Kilroy. Whatever, man. Thanks for watching. I'm on Twitter at TimCast. After you watch this, go to my second channel, which is youtube.com/c/TimCastNews. Or on my YouTube channel, there should be in the right, it should be like it should say TimCast or something. And that's my second channel, so I've got other videos there. It's more commentary, and it's a backup channel. So I might post like skateboarding. But if anything happens to this channel, you never know. I'll start producing there. So thanks for watching, and I'm gonna do more live streams in the future. I've been kind of swamped, rearranging, setting things up. But the holidays are the worst. Sure, it's certainly fun that you can see your family and all that stuff, but the people stop working. So, yeah. I'll see you guys later.